Hey guys, a massive welcome to the Double Double NBA Show Australia here with your host Jack and my co-host Anthony, the 3-point man. Anthony, mate, first of all, we're in lockdown. Second of all, look at him, we're on video, mate. You can even see the 3-point symbols.
On fire.
Yeah, to be fair, that 3-point was next to Jar, so you might want to do the other 3-point on the other side so you can see Big Kevin.
Oh, there we go.
Now, mate, Boomers special today. Just talking about the Boomers in the Olympics. Now, I tried to find the one basketball jersey I own of an Australian player, which was Ben Simmons. I think every Australian only owns that. Couldn't find it anywhere, so I had to rock the Philly hat.
Oh.
I know you're currently in your work uniform.
I'm sitting really low in my chair. I'll sit up so I'm not.
But I thought, as we all know, you know personally as well, you've seen it, my jersey collection is quite extensive. I did get a few gifts from one of my best friends, and he got me this, which I thought I'd debut on the pod. Oh no, it's gone! Oh, you can't see it.
Melbourne Tigers,
Chris Goulding.
Yeah. Oh
number 43. Why can't it show? I have to go like this. I'll post a photo of it. And long story short, it's a 2011 Chris Goulding jersey, Melbourne Tigers. I don't think there's too many of them getting around.
Chuck it on, mate. It's worth a wear. And we've also got some podcast host guests today with us. Would you like to introduce them? Well, they're standing in the background a bit quiet.
In the back. I hope they can see. Otherwise, it just looks like I'm pointing to no one. But it's John Morant and Kevin Herter. They're sitting side by side, tuning in to the squad. Other than that, I'm also rocking a South Sydney jersey, just in case anyone was wondering about that. But without further ado, let's get stuck into the meaty part of the show. So, quarterfinals, mate. Boomers through the quarterfinals. We're hoping for a medal. Hoping we can play for it.
Definitely.
Do you want to talk about the game that's just happened?
Well, I was just going to say, to start off with, that's basically where we sort of expected that we were going to be at the start. We thought we'd come out of our, I guess, preliminary rounds or whatever you want to call them, or Goulding's getting on it. So, we presumed we would come out of those rounds, and we thought that we would end up, doing okay and possibly getting a medal. I know our goal originally was to get a bronze, and then after the performances of some of the teams, namely USA, all of a sudden we're hoping for the gold. So, expect another big performance from the guys tonight. Before we do start talking about the Australian games and the remaining games that are still to go on, I'll just read through all of the games in the quarterfinals. So we've got Slovenia and Germany, which has actually just finished playing, because we're recording this just after that game's finished. We've got Spain and United States, which is going to tip off in about an hour's time. And then we've got Italy and France a bit later tonight for us. And then late tonight, which we're all going to watch because we're pretty much in lockdown, is Australia versus Argentina at 10 p.m. And I know every Australian will be tuned into that anyway.
You have to be watching. No lockdown, nothing. This is the epitome of Australian sport tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm super keen to watch all of the games, to be completely honest, because they're all reasonable matchups. The one I thought was the worst matchup was the Slovenia-Germany game, which Slovenia ended up smashing Germany 94-70. Germany made it a game in the first half, and Slovenia just absolutely steamrolled through them at the end.
100%.
And didn't really leave them too much.
Luka Doncic.
I was going to say player of the game for me, not Luka Doncic. Zoran Dragic. That's like knockoff Goran Dragic. I remember he was in the NBA for a few seasons, but didn't see that coming. I think it looks like, the pixel, how in like old school 2K games, everything was like a little bit pixelated, and like their face was like their face, but not really in place of where it should be, if that makes sense.
Yep.
He basically looks like that for Goran Dragic, if that makes sense. Obviously, it makes sense because they're brothers, but yeah, they really ran away with it.
It does help. You do look similar to your brother, oddly enough. Which
apparently I don't really see it with my brother, but
that's because your brother's a decent bloke. But anyway, so if you don't know how the tree works, so obviously, like Andy just said, Slovenia versus Germany, they meet in the semi-final, the winner of France versus Italy. Now, we've got Argentina tonight, and across on the other side is Spain versus USA. So for us, it definitely is the hard side of the draw. Would you agree with that?
Definitely.
It's the hard side of the draw.
It would be even worse if we got stuck with like France or Slovenia first up. So don't get me wrong about that.
Yeah, 100%. Like Argentina is still like no easy beat, but I think it does put us in a really good position now to win the gold medal, because like you have to, if you want to win the gold medal, one, you're going to have to beat USA regardless. Whether you beat them in the semi or you beat them in the gold medal game, you have to beat them. They're going to
Are
beat.
you sure? Is
Yes.
Spain going to beat them?
No.
Okay.
I don't think Spain's going to beat them. In saying that, like if you're going to take like the bias hat off, we're a chance of not beating them really. Like when you break it down player for player and person for person. But
of course, that's because the United States is rolling out a lineup that boasts about $500 million per season, and
oddly enough, that's how it works. But like, I think we'll do Argentina, and I honestly think we can beat the USA. We play that sort of team basketball, and you're seeing just how much. I wanted to talk about this last week on the podcast, but it didn't really suit it at all. Man, how much does the USA team and USA players struggle with FIBA rules and just not getting superstar scores?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. And I was talking to this with another friend today that, it's good to see Luka Doncic for once not whinging and complaining every 2 seconds about a call that's made.
Am I right?
He literally has been
Absolutely.
getting smashed into by people.
The only ones
he's really complained about are basically the like random offensive, defensive foul things that are sort of stuck halfway in between. But aside from that, he's been great. Like he hasn't been complaining. I do think the United States are obviously clearly going to beat Spain. I don't think it's even going to be that much of a contest. I think Spain will be able to stay in it for the first quarter or so. But just the class of the United States team is going to take them over the line.
But even like the thing is too, like even if Australia lose, you can't, like no one could actually sit here and be like, oh my God, Australia lost that. What a choke. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. And that's it, because Australia should win this game. If we lose this game, I'd be pretty disappointed. And I think everyone would be.
Yeah,
and it would be a big upset. But I think we'll do Argentina. Who do you have out of Italy and France?
I think this is the best question. Matchup. I think it is too. I think this is the one that could, like, the matchup that's probably going to go down to the wire. I'm saying that we could, but I'm sticking with France. I think France have the type of players that can sort of grit it. They have a little bit more of that NBA experience. Not that the NBA means so much in this tournament, but like, you know what I mean? That high pressure to the wall, need to hit shots at certain points.
I just look at Italy, right, and they've got some like offensive people on their team. So they've got, like Gallinari, Melli, Nico Mannion's been playing out of his mind, and we all know I'm a big fan of his anyway.
Don't know why.
Because he just...
I know, I'm just stirred, yeah.
You could replace Kevin Huerter for Nico Mannion, and they nearly look the same, mate.
Yeah, good. Just got to change the smoke, change it to yellow, and there you go. Could leave it red. He's a redhead.
I don't know. Obviously, everyone's going to be leaning towards France, but if I see one of these 3 remaining games being an upset, that's the one that I see going Italy's way. Yeah. I know I checked TAB earlier, and they were at about $3.20, so not completely out of it, but they are definitely the outsiders.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think. Are you so for the semi-finals? If we're going to skip to that level before we break down the Boomers chat too much, are you suggesting that it's going to be Slovenia versus Italy or France? Like, are you saying that Italy are going to beat France?
I'm going to say no. I think it's going to be Slovenia versus France, and then I think Slovenia is going to win, to be completely honest. So I think Slovenia goes through to the final versus either us or Australia, and I genuinely think that's a bit of a coin toss. We are Australia, so I meant us. I meant us as in US, as in United States.
Yeah, very well saved. We talk about legacies all the time on the show, and we just seen Giannis, especially from Greece, coming through and doing what he's accomplished. How much does this do if Slovenia can get to the gold medal match for Luka? Because they dragged them there.
Oh, it's ridiculous, hey. He literally single-handedly just taking it over, isn't he?
I think if people have I don't think anyone with a brain, for example, wouldn't have any doubts about Luka Doncic and what the type of player he is now and what he can accomplish. After seeing his performance in the Olympics, you'd have to realize that this guy is top 5 talent in the NBA and has the ability to be not the greatest of all time. We all know how much that takes, but definitely in the top 5 to ever play the game.
Oh, I reckon he could get there, to be completely honest. He averages 20-something points per game, like 27 points per game off memory, and he only shoots his career 3-point percentage.
I honestly wouldn't have a clue. Is it low or high? Am I like 32%, 30%?
Yeah, it's 33%, and that's not that good. So
No, it's
imagine,
not. It's
and he
not.
takes like 8.5, 9 a game. So you imagine if he can bump that up to like 38%, that's almost an extra 2 to 3 points per game extra on top of what he's already getting. So
100%.
he could literally average a 30-point triple double in a season, and it wouldn't really shock anyone.
Like, which is funny because like a 30-point triple double extremely difficult to come across, and
No,
it's not as much that you'd think that they're pretty easy, and something like even LeBron or something that would struggle to go along with to achieve something like that's phenomenal.
definitely
Like
would.
and now before we do, actually we'll just jump into it now. Do you want to talk about the Boomer squad?
Let's talk about the Boomer squad. We haven't even spoke about them. Let's just go through every single player and just
Uh-huh.
talk about their pros and cons and how we think they've gone
Yep.
so far in this tournament,
Yep.
and what we might expect from them moving forward against some of the teams. So the
Okay.
first up on the list that I've got is, or that we've got as an Australian, is Matthew Dellavedova. Now he's our starting point guard. For those of you that don't know, what do you like from him, first of all?
Sheer hustle, and I remember back to the quote LeBron said when Cleveland won the championship, that he'd throw a ball up between a bear and Dellavedova, and he says Dellavedova will win, and like that's about it.
I've
Except
never heard that, but that's
haven't you? They
cracker.
said it at the
Nah,
championship parade. Yeah, he said it at the
that's
except
funny.
one of my shout out to my mate Braden. I put it on our story. Braden put up sent me a message. We were watching. I can't remember what game it was, and he said Dellavedova shoots like the football player walking back into school. Where he's like, "Give us a shot, bro." His shot is horrendous. It's
Oh,
just
it's
this.
it's definitely funny looking, that's for sure.
It looks like a guy that's played 2K for a few years and then decided he wants to pick up a basketball
Yeah,
now. That's the only way I can. But in saying that, for what he brings to the squad, I know we're both in those like nice, we're both in those NBA chats, and you see so many people that are constantly like Dellavedova offers nothing. Offensively, does he offer a lot? No, but defensively, you got to have him there.
and
Like,
that's it. It's like he is just a defensive guard that's going to wear out whomever's in front of him, and that's what we love him for.
and you can't
And
play
that's
Sobey big minutes. Like, and we both love Sobey. We've seen him play
yeah,
for Brisbane several times, but like, you can't play him. But you got to play Delvedova. Like the guy's won an NBA championship. I think he knows what he's doing.
yeah, 100%. And that's really what we need from him is defense. We've got other players to play offense in those
Uh
games,
huh.
So that's really all we're looking for out of him.
Yeah.
We'll jump over to Aaron Baines now. Unfortunately, we won't bother
Mm.
talking about him much because unfortunately he suffered an injury and in the last round, or just after the last round actually, and he won't be able to take part in any remaining games, which sucks because he's basically the big anchor of our defense, gobbles up rebounds inside. It's just one of those things, accidents
Yeah.
happen,
100%.
and hopefully we can pick up the slack, or I know we can pick up the slack with a few of the other big boys on the team. But let's move over to probably I think our best all-round player, and that's Joe Ingles.
Yeah, Joe's been phenomenal, man. During the day, he's hitting shots when he needs to. Defensively, he's been really good. I feel like he's also working really well with guys like Matisse Thybulle and Josh Green. Now, we haven't seen too much of Josh Green in regards to minutes and stuff like that. Like he sort of filters in and on there, but the way he works with Matisse and stuff like that, he just makes that offense click. And in defense, he's just always chatting. I don't know if he's chatting crap or what, but he's always chatting, and it seems to be working. Like they brought up the other night, they were like, "Oh, there's a lot of high turnovers when people play the Boomers." It's like, well, is that high turnovers from them being sloppy, or is it the fact that we just play really good
Yeah,
defense and they're not prepared for it? I
I
think it's the latter.
100%. I 100% think we are the best defensive team in the
And
competition
that's
at the moment.
100%. We are better than the United States at defense.
Well,
Absolutely. And
definitely, they're
like,
not even very good.
no. And like, that's why I think we're a genuine chance if we can get past Argentina of
Yeah.
beating them. Because
While
we can keep them under 100. We've
yeah,
done it.
for sure. Yeah. While we're on Joe Ingles, out of our
Genuine.
entire team, so think of our entire team that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
When a player catches the ball and they're open for a 3-point shot, who's the one person that you're like, oh, that's cash, that's going in?
It's Joe. It's either Joe
It's
or Paddy for
it's
me.
Joe Ingles every single day of the week. Every
Yeah.
time he gets it and he does his step back or he's just open, I'm like, oh, cash, just start running the
Cash.
other way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, from an offensive point and also defensively, Joe's just like the main organizer of that team. He basically gets everyone to go where they need to go.
For sure.
He initiates most of the offense. Him and Paddy Mills. Without Joe, we would really struggle, I think, in a lot of competitions, and he sort of puts it all together.
Yeah,
Australian
I agree.
LeBron.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Now, the
He
next
might
guy,
also deliver your mail. I'm not sure what other jobs he has, but
do your taxes.
he could do them as well.
Do you reckon if he wasn't a basketball player, what do you reckon, like, you could see Joe Ingles as a profession? I could see him walking down the middle of Martin Place in Sydney with a suit and a briefcase.
Nah, for sure he's delivering your post. Like, that's the dude that knocks on your door and he's like, "Oh, you got a package." Like 100%. Mind you, he needs to be like 3 feet shorter, but still.
That's a very tall postman. You wouldn't try and scrap him for any lost mail, that's for sure. Now, are you going through like a list, like a starting 1 to 5? Because I'll let you keep rattling the names off, and
I'm going through a list,
yeah,
mate.
I'll just
The next one on
I'll
my
just rebuttal then.
The next one on my list is Josh Green.
I love seeing the younger guys and like our next generation come through, like Josh, especially someone like Josh Green who got drafted last year. Again, I don't have to talk too much about him, so you can sort of take over here. Like, we haven't been able to see a lot of him, but whenever he's on the court, I'm like super impressed. Like, defensively, he loves standing in that key and just trying to block everything that comes his way. And they're my favorite basketball players, so I love watching him.
Yeah, I like Josh Green just as like an NBA prospect, but he's almost like a thicker Danny Green is the best way I can explain him. He still needs a little bit more time and a bit more experience, but it's great to see him out here, and it's great to see him getting occasional minutes. He doesn't play too much. He normally gets around about 5 minutes per game, but he can knock down an open shot. He can handle the ball a little bit, but at the moment he's sort of there for a bit of defense, which is one of his best attributes. I can't remember what game it was in, but he had a couple of steals, which led to some open dunks and so on and so forth.
100%.
Yeah, it's just we're riddled with good guards, and that's sort of where we're at the moment. So it doesn't bother me, but
I'll take it.
He's a good player. Next, Chris Goulding, mate.
Gun, all round. Greatest player to ever do it. Probably should be in the NBA for at least 20 years now.
I reckon this is to build off of that. Like, seriously, he should be in the NBA as
being serious. There's a few players, which I'll talk to at the end of this, that should definitely be in the NBA, and I'm waiting for one of them to get an offer this week.
Mate, Chris Goulding, right? Like, no offense. Like, Duncan Robinson is a lot better than him, but Duncan Robinson just signed a 4-year, $90 million deal. Surely Chris Goulding can get $5 million for a couple of years. Like, surely.
Mate, John Conchar has
a 2-year,
$2 million deal.
Yeah.
He's better than John Conchar.
He's a lights out 3-point shooter. He can handle the ball, and surprisingly, he's not that bad on defense.
100%.
And he's a small guard.
Well, you may as well talk about it now. The player that I think should have an NBA contract, and I dead set reckon he will, and guys like Matisse Thybulle have put it on his story saying that he's his favourite player, is Nick Kay. How unreal has he been?
Yeah, Nick Kay and Jock Landale both have to be in summer league squads or something at the end of this. 100%.
If you're like NBA scouts watching the Olympics, surely Nick Kay's the one guy you look at and you're like, how is he not in the NBA?
They both defend, they both hustle, they both shoot threes. What more do you want?
100%. Like, it's Jock Landale does the same thing. Well, again, we've seen him play for Brisbane. We're lucky enough to do that. But how are they not in the league? Get him in the league. Get him in position. And I think like we'll see. I honestly believe. I think Nick Kay will be in the NBA by the end of the year. That's a big call.
I reckon Jock Landale would get the nod before Nick Kay. Just purely for the fact that Nick Kay's a little bit older than what Jock Landale is. I think off the top of my head, Nick Kay's like 29, 28, 29, and Jock Landale, I'm pretty sure, is only like 5. And I've just looked up Jock Landale, and he's 25 years. So, there might be the potential verse, whole potential verse, that's all they're going to be sort of argument going on.
Yeah, but it's insane that Jock Landale 100% deserved to be in the NBA. And you talk about, especially.
I thought he was going to be in there last time.
He's 25 years old.
I thought he was going to. Yeah.
I
thought he was going to make a summer league roster a couple of years ago. So
I actually believe I've been mixing their names up. I thought Jock was Nick. Whoopsie, that's a mistake on my error. But yeah, they both deserve to be in the NBA. And like it's the other thing that makes you sort of think about it now is how many NBA players really get their start at 29.
Yeah. 100%. But this is the thing: is like, who would you rather on a team, right? Would you rather Gorgie Jang, or however you say his name, or would you rather Jock Landale? I know who I'm taking.
Gorgie.
Hell no. But you know what I mean?
I've had to watch Gorgie on my team. I'd rather Jock Landale.
I just look at it in terms of that, things
100%,
like that.
100%.
Anyway, let's move on to our next player. Nathan Sobey, mate. I know he's one of your favourites.
Oh, that's one of my favourites. I like watching guys that like play around Brisbane get to go on the big stage. I think I'd like to see him play with more confidence, man. In that last game, all he would do was drive and kick, and we know he can score.
That's what I feel like. Hey, he just seems timid.
Give it a go. I think he just seems like he's worried that someone's gonna like yell at him if he does something wrong. Where he's a great player,
excellent player.
But confidence. Yeah, I think that's his biggest thing.
100%. I honestly wish we got to see in some of the lesser games these bench guys get a bit more minutes as well.
Yep.
But anyway, brings us on to our next player, Nick Kay. I know we've talked about him a little bit. You mixed up his name with Landale a little bit, but it happens. They're both 10 out of 10s. Nick Kay's a big body, can defend. His worst skill is his shooting, and he's been banging down corner threes all Olympics long, which is excellent to see. So, hopefully Nick Kay can get a summer league roster or some sort of thing to get him over to the States. It'd be pretty sweet to even just be in or thereabouts. It doesn't even have to make it into the NBA, but we definitely both think he's NBA quality and
he's
caliber.
Definitely G League. Like, I don't know how he's not in the G. Like, he's absolutely G League.
Yeah. I guess it just depends on his agents and where he can get more money and get a gig and where he wants to live and things like that. So
exactly right. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, gobbles up rebounds, defends like crazy, hustles hard. I'm honestly really impressed with this entire Australian basketball side.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Like, and people, it sort of comes when people get impressed. Now there's expectation that we're definitely leaving with a medal, which I do think we do leave with a medal regardless. But yeah, it just sort of does worry me that we're going to get to the stage where if they lose against the United States in like a 120 to 118, people are going to be like, we should have won that game. Like, that's a massive loss. It's like, no, it's not, mate. They've got Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard.
Yeah. As long as we pass this game, it's basically found money from that point on. So just beat Argentina, and then it's found money. Next player on my list, though, this is genuinely your favourite, is Paddy Mills, mate.
Yeah, I love Paddy. Love Paddy. I think even you scroll through Twitter and the amount of tweets when he plays, even for America, is just like, why does this guy turn into Steph Curry when he plays for Australia? Unreal. Our best player, the best player to ever put on the green and gold. One of the best athletes Australia's ever seen, to be honest. And that's just what he does 100%. On and off the court.
Yeah. Flag bearer for the Olympics as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's an unrestricted free agent as well.
And
off memory from
we'll
the
talk
NBA.
about this later in the week, but your team's trying to chase him, the Lakers. Well, to be fair, they're trying to chase everyone at the moment.
Apparently, but we've just signed a few people, but I'm going to hang on to them for later in the week show.
Exactly. Well done.
That through the free agency, but yeah, Paddy Mills, if we could get him, I'd almost just like retire a happy man and go and move over to LA for a year or so, just to watch him play. But
you'd have to. That's a part of the rules.
If you've been living under a rock and you've watched Steph Curry play, that's exactly how Paddy Mills plays for Australia.
Absolutely.
He literally plays the exact same way. He scores the majority of our points. He almost averages, I think he's averaging 26 points per game so far in these Olympics, which is massive. He's I think, third leading scorer out of everybody, which is insane. So that's really good. Also racks up heaps of assists for us because he gets double teamed all the time, which is ridiculous, but is what it is.
But even when he gets double teamed, he still makes the pass, he makes the play, he extends it. Like he's just such a good guy to have around your younger players as well.
Yeah, 100%, because he is that role model for him, isn't he? I think 100%. The only negative thing I can say about Paddy Mills, does like an occasional, 25, 26 foot random jack up this shot and try to score early in the shot clock.
But I'll live with that. The amount of good stuff he does, I'll live with that.
Especially for Australia, it's
I'll
just
live
like
with that.
whatever. As long as Paddy shoots, I don't really care.
Well, see, that's the other thing. It's like on the flip side, like who else do you want taking that shot? Probably Joe. If not Joe, no one else. You don't want anyone else doing that. So it's just like makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Next guy on the list, anyway, we'll keep this moving along for you guys, is Dante Exum.
The one guy that every time he jumps or leaves the ground, I wince in fear.
Australian Embiid.
He is the most injury-prone person I think I've ever just seen.
Yeah,
or
shoulders, knees, ankles, hips, everything. Almost everything's had an injury in his 5-year NBA career now.
But in saying that, he's having a good tournament.
He is having a good tournament.
Really well.
He's always been a very well-rounded player. He scores, he gets rebounds, he gets assists.
100%.
It's just basically putting it all together at one time and limiting turnovers for Exum. But this tournament, he's been really good. I know he as well. I think he's a restricted free agent in the NBA, so someone could potentially pick him up as well.
Yep.
And I definitely think that this Olympics has shown that he can play, and he can play with the best of people. Sometimes he makes people look absolutely ridiculously silly, clutching at straws as he flies past them and goes in for a dunk or an open layup. Still 100%. Very, very athletic.
Athletic, yeah. And he's still got good vision as well.
Yeah, can handle, can shoot, can pass. Yeah, a team's going to pick him up, and I think they'll be super happy with him. Moving forward, I think him and the next player that we'll talk about, Matisse Thybulle, I think they're the two big X factors for our team. One offensively and one defensively. But Exum in offense, if Exum fires, especially against the United States, I see us winning and 100%. winning gold. And by firing, I mean being like 3 or 4 from 3. I'm not talking about coming out and having 45 points. I'm talking about get 15 to 20 and do it efficiently, and we're going to win very comfortably.
It's just to talk about Matisse now. I just said like Paddy plays like Steph Curry, but it's expected. I'm going to go on record and say that Matisse Thybulle has been our best player this Olympic series. He has been defensively phenomenal. Or even overall though, like defensively, absolutely. But he picks people's pockets, and if he'll either one sprint and dunk it, or he'll find someone for an open 3 straight away. Yeah. Like
he's been shooting very, very well this competition as well. So I'm keen to see what he's going to look like when he gets some more time in the NBA. Like I'm genuinely very excited to see.
And the other thing that we got to put respect on too, especially for both of us, his trash talk's phenomenal.
Oh.
He loved it against the Germans. He loved it.
So did you see when I think it was Wagner pushed him or someone pushed him, and he's just like, "Oh, you want the ball?" and just like handed it to him, just like so chill as like whatever, man.
I'm pretty sure that exchange too. He's just like it's something along the lines of like you've got nothing or like I'm all over you. And which he was like he was phenomenal. But I think Matisse has been the best. Like defensively, he's just shored us up so much. And you just talked about Exum and Exum's ability. If we can do this, it's going to put us so much in a stead to beat the United States if we get through Argentina. It's also going to depend on Matisse because Matisse actually defends these guys in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like he's had to do it by now, and I think we put guys like Joe there as well, and like Joe's and Jock and Nick, like they're not afraid of getting down defensively.
But I think that's how Australia's been doing so well defensively at the moment, is because every other team, right, to guard Luka, every team has had to full on double team him. Like 2 players have to go to him, and then all Luka does is an easy pass, finds an open player for a 3.
Exactly.
Switch.
Yep.
But when we can put Matisse on someone, so let's say we put Matisse on Luka, he can at least hold his own against him. So all our like second player has to do is basically show and then come back. Like Australia,
100%.
Watch Nick Kay and Jock Landale tonight, and especially you listeners out there, watch Nick Kay and Jock Landale when we're guarding I'll say the point guard, whoever's got the ball up the top, and there's a pick and roll or whatever. All our center does is show. We come like just outside of the key, and then
get the nerves going,
and then we just piss off back in there.
Yeah.
Whereas if we didn't have Matisse or Matthew Dellavedova or Exum, one of these big, long defending guards that can lock down a player, we would have to full on double team them, keep our big out there, which leaves their big open under the basket for a layup. You know? So this is where we're getting this defensive advantage, and it's from having good defensive guards and wings that can just stop one-on-one
100%.
isolation score.
It's so rare, and it's the first time definitely we've ever had it, that you can actually get someone defensively and just be like go guard in an international level. So not like an NBA team, that's a different story altogether, where you can actually send him onto one player and be fully confident that it would contain him. Like if KD's cooking, like KD's the best defensive player we've ever seen in the world, but still, like if KD's cooking, well, at least we know we have a sort of answer for that. We know we can. Matisse will make his life as hard as it. KD is an extreme example, I know, because he's like I said, like
yeah, but at least make it difficult. It wouldn't be like PJ Tucker guarding KD in the playoffs when he put up 45 a game.
Exactly. You're exactly right. So like, there's your difference in that.
2 left on our list, mate. One,
and then we're done.
I was never really number one. Never really heard of him too much, and the little bit I did see, wasn't that impressed. But my mind's changed a little bit, and that's Duop Reith.
Like you sort of sea-level player. Like he's not gonna lie. Before the Olympics, had no idea who he was. Had really knew nothing about him. But he comes on when he does get the minutes. Comes on, does what he has to do, goes off, gives everyone a breather. I think we're also lucky in the sense that the guys that we had come on to bring a breather and plug holes, we're not losing 10 points in the space of 1 minute. Like stuff like that, they're actually holding their own, which is, and I think he's done that perfectly. Can't ask for much more. Don't expect much more, but
yeah, 100%. And I'd only ever really heard of him a little bit because he went to LSU like just after Ben Simmons came out. Which when he was there, he was averaging 12 and 6 and shot some threes as well, which is pretty cool for a big man. But he's just recently signed with the Illawarra Hawks, so you'll see him a little bit in the upcoming NBL season, which would be awesome. But for our team, he doesn't play too much, but definitely plugs, like you said, plugs those holes for when players need a little rest.
Facts.
It gives energy as well.
Big energy guy. You got to have guys on the bench that give energy. And
I think that's because he knows his role is like, I'm going to get 5 minutes here. I got to give 150% for these 5 minutes.
And he does.
That's all I get.
He honestly tried. Like I'd put no one else there.
Yeah,
can't think of anyone else, to be honest, but still.
It gives away a couple offensive fouls and stuff for like early screen setting, moving offensive screens, whatever they call them these days, like moving screens and things like that. But he just tries, which is great to see. Brings us to our last person that we'll talk about, and that is one Jock Landale, who I know both of us are massive fans of, and we have been for a little while.
Yeah.
I still, like we've spoken about a billion times, don't know how he's not in the NBA. He's sort of bounced around a few different teams overseas. Played for Melbourne. Won a whole bunch of different awards.
Was great for Melbourne too.
He won the Serbian Cup in 2019. Just won a whole bunch of different things. Won the NBL this season as well. Didn't they, Melbourne?
Yep. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with yes. Just having a mind blank. So let's say yeah.
I can't remember. I got to get
because he got the MVP, didn't he?
He got the MVP, but I'm not sure if they won it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. Let's look. First one to find it wins.
Perth. What? Yeah, it's Perth. Remember it got cancelled. It's Perth again. Oh wait, that's 2020.
2021 NBL Grand Final. Yeah, against the defending champs. He posted 17.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and a 73-70 win. Yep, 100%. And got the NBL Grand Final MVP. In which the season, right? So this is what I don't understand how he hasn't gotten into the NBA is purely for the fact that, like, listen to these averages. Now, this is the Australian Basketball League, so the NBL, not the best league in the world, but everyone
not the worst.
It's not the worst, and everyone's always like, oh yeah, you go down there, play with real men, and blah blah blah, and it's tough to score, and so on and so forth. Correct?
Yes.
Landale averaged for the season 16.5 points. Let's call it 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.5 blocks a game. That dude can definitely play 10 or 15 minutes off the bench for an NBA team.
completely different positions, I know, and experience. But look at RJ Hampton and LaMelo Ball. Look what they averaged. Again, I know what I'm saying, it's different, but like the NBL's not a crazy amount behind the NBA. Like
Not
obviously the
anymore.
NBA's not anymore. It used to be, and we're seeing it now. The world's catching up to the United States, and Chris Vernon talked about on his show how they were. He was pretty much. Devin was like, "No, they're not," and he's like, "You're an idiot. They absolutely are. Like, look at the rest of the world compared to the United States. Now, there's a reason they're struggling. It's not just because they don't want to be there. It's because they're genuinely struggling as a team."
Yeah.
So, which I absolutely agree with. So the NBL's good. We got kids now coming out of high school that are now deciding between the G League or the NBL because they know that the G League's going to develop and they know the NBL is going to develop them.
Yeah, and it's cool because they can get paid while they're over here as well, which is awesome. Great to see. But let's stick on Jock Landale. He sort of does everything for our team. Defends all the bigs from the other teams. He shoots threes, which is awesome, and he can throw down some monster dunks, which he dunked over a few Germans the other night, which was good to see.
We'll take that every day of the week.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I think moving forward, to be honest, I think our three most important players. Aside, I'm not going to include Paddy Mills and Joe Ingles because they are
They're the two. We know that.
Our focal points. But I think it's definitely Landale, Matisse Thybulle, and Dante Exum. And I think Exum's like our big X factor. He has to hit. Otherwise, it's a no dice. What do you reckon?
I'm going Landale, Thybulle, and the other one is Dellavedova. I think we know what he's going to bring defensively. If he can spark a little bit of offense, get a few points every now and then, hit a few threes in the situations where you don't really expect him to, going to be tough to beat. Going to be real tough to beat.
All right. And who's your MVP so far for Australia?
Oh, I said Matisse Thybulle.
Okay. Well, mine's Paddy Mills. I just can't go past points. When the total scores
less
are like
from my man Paddy, so that's why I didn't go Paddy.
Yeah, it's just tough when the total scores are like mid-70s and Paddy Mills is putting up 25 to 30 points. It's hard to go past.
Literally half the points. It's hard. It's like a 2K game. It's hard to go. But other than that brings us to the end of the show, mate. So we'll see these guys later in the week. We'll jump on, do some NBA business. And other than that, we're done. So enjoy the Boomers win. We think are we both saying where they're taking gold?
Oh.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're saying gold. I'm just kidding. Of course they're getting gold, mate. It's Australia. We're literally coloured golden.
That's true. Easy as. But thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later in the week.
Make sure, before you go, check out our Instagram. We got plenty of stuff going up on our story. Make sure you like, follow, comment, whatever. Get involved, get interacted.
Get it on there. Easy done. Thanks, guys.
See yous.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! Lob.